But of course, through these years, I as far as I can tell, our experiences with interviews overall were experiences were very good. But we are here today to also tell you when we failed and why we failed. So we were trying to think right before we did this video here of bad experiences, and I guess Thalita can tell you one and I can tell you another. So because now I know what I did to fail, and that probably she also knows. So you wanna go first?
Actually, my worst interview was the first one in Europe.
In Belgium or
in Ireland. We lived almost 1 year in Belgium. That was the time that I studied English, and we moved to Ireland, and I was invited for an interview for European Commission office here, and I wasn't expecting this to be so hard. I knew that there were a lot of tests, English tests, Excel tests, and I did that. It was fine. But after that, I had an interview with 5 or 6 people, and I used to have on my CV that I speak Spanish. And after I answered the questions in English, there was one Spanish lady and she wanted me to answer in Spanish. It was so hard because we Brazilians, we think that we speak Spanish, but actually we don't.
Portuñol.
Yes. And one specific thing that this interview was really different, that they asked me about my subjects in university and also about my final paper. Why did I choose the subject that was the quality in the
workplace?
Yeah, in the workplace.
That was your paper?
Yes.
All right.
And I wasn't expecting this at all, so I didn't know what to say, and of course I failed. And yeah, that's it. I tried to speak in Spanish without speaking in Spanish, and I had to talk about university, and I'm sure that no one is prepared for this question, because you only think about your experiences, your career actually, but you should think also about your studies and know what you are gonna answer. Even if, for example, you are in HR, maybe you don't think about your university, but you should think about your CIPG, that's the qualification for HR professionals, and maybe the subjects that you learned in this course, and about your final paper to get this certification. So that would be my advice.
Yeah, so see, her point it's quite valid, because everything that you put in your CV, you must be able to talk about it, discuss it, and make your point upon it. So if you mention your CV, your paper, your thesis paper on your master's degree or whatever, you should be able to discuss that. Actually, if you wrote that, you should be able to discuss that.
Actually, it wasn't in my CV. But they asked me.
Okay, they asked you.
There was only my education, my certification,
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, but that's so. But
it's the European Commission, so maybe.
But you learned, right? What did you learn? What did you take from that experience?
That I should know why I chose this subject. Yeah, to think more about my time in university.
Yeah. So depending on the institution or company, they are gonna try to validate your knowledge, your academic knowledge.
Yeah. Today we understand why they ask this, because we know that we have partnership to hire people for the European Commission, and we know that they value this, the education.
Oh yeah.
They are so interested in your education.
Oh yeah.
So today, like almost 10 years later, we can understand why.
That's true. Yeah, I worked with the European Commission before your interview, right? So 3 years. And I guess the smartest people in Europe, they work for the European Commission. So you work in the same room with 4 other people, and they all they speak 5 languages, 4 languages, 4 languages. They have 3 masters, 4 masters, and all. So it's the process of, for them. I worked there as a contractor, so the only thing that I had to prove was my technical skills and all, and my English level. And I could get in, but I wasn't employed by the European Commission. I was a contractor. Therefore, the process was simpler for me. But the people inside my room, they were what they call like the officials and all. They take years to get inside the European Commission as their employees and all. And the process is harsh. It's like you gotta be good. You gotta be good. So, and Thalita, she felt on her own skin like that the process was really tough. One of my bad experiences with interviews was actually, it wasn't for the European Commission, but it was in Belgium. So I claimed that I was an architect, right? A systems architect, an engineer and all, but I had that experience actually in my CV, and the practical experience acquired in Brazil and all. And then once I landed in Europe, and all things were quite different and all. And I remember that guy in my interview asking me, can you right now, he gave me a piece of paper and he told me, can you right now draft here an architecture, a model for this system that's gonna do this and that, the data will come from this and that, and the data needs to be exposed this way. And also the only thing that I had to do it was to draw on paper like a diagram. And then I wasn't able to do it. I drafted through things and all, but based on my experience, I didn't have so much experience in planning things, perhaps because of the way that things are done in Brazil. So I drafted in my own way, the way that I thought it was right. And the guy just said to me, he took the paper on it, he kept the paper and all. And I didn't pass on the interview, of course not. And the other guy, one of the 3 guys interviewing me, he told me when he shook my hand, like I live in the lobby, he told me that I was passionate. I was passionate about technology, something like that, But it was when I went home, I remember I took the train and I thought myself, okay, I didn't pass. And then I remember that specific sentence that he told me, that it was the same as if he called me an amateur, really rough, right? But he was really polite in telling me, go learn first, and then you can try again to work with us. All right. It happens. So I took home, and of course I succeeded in recent interviews and all, but of course that actually, if I remember that story from 10 years ago, that actually really caught me, and it's important to remember, and that's the main point of this episode here. It's that as Marina says, right? So every interview is a learning process. Yeah. Learn from the good things, but also from the bad experiences that you had in the past. So take that home and learn with it and improve for your next interviews.
Yeah.